By the late 1980s, heavy rock and industrial began to fuse with the debut of bands like Godflesh, Ministry, and Nine Inch Nails. These bands and others brought electronic, ambient, and noise styles and sounds to heavy rock music, and industrial rock and metal was born. On this week's Loudini Rock and Roll Circus podcast, we're going to discuss the 15 most important industrial rock and metal bands of all time. You're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, changing rock history one podcast at a time. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini. We have the power trio in full blast, full regalia, guys, tonight. We've got Keith the Hawk Hawkins. Well, you got a little chin there. Look you out. Ooh.
Fancy.
That's the best I can do, man.
And Lily's not growing any chins. This is Lily V6 as well. So we got Keith the Hawk Hawkins, Lily V6. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini. You can check out more information about all of us at LouLombardiRocks.com. Great community of folks sharing music, talking about music all day long, 24/7. Giveaways, all kind of fun stuff there. LouLombardiRocks.com. Shout out to a couple sponsors. To Wolf's Customs. Hey guys, listen, you're going to go out, you're going to be doing these videos now online. You got to have something that's really going to stand out when people are scrolling. They got the thumbs going there. They see you up rocking out with a really badass looking guitar, something that really sticks out, really different. They are going to stop and check you out. I guarantee it. Wolfscustoms.online guarantees it. They can do hollow flash. They can do a bunch of different custom finishes on your musical instrument, bass, ukulele, harmonica. I don't know. Can Chris play a harmonica? I'm sure.
Probably. A triangle.
He
said he could do anything.
He can do anything. So
Why
check
not?
him out. Go to wolfscustoms.online. Tell them Loudini sent you. Shout out to Rock Rage Radio as well. We had a little mix-up with those guys this week. John, I apologize for that. We apparently were spamming their Facebook feed every 5 minutes. So it was a race to, I would delete something, it would show back up here. It was an app we had hooked up, and we got it straightened out. So anyways, go to, rockrageradio.com. You can listen to great guitar-driven rock 24/7. So we had a fun week this week. I know I did. Lily did too.
I did that.
But we will start with the Hawk because we haven't seen the Hawk. What's going on? Anything good, exciting going on in your life, Hawk, before we get into the show tonight?
You know, just bracing for hurricanes. You know what, though? It's not going to hit here, so.
Oh, good.
That's what they said before. And then
Famous last words.
I'm sure you're fine.
Before you know it, I get a call from Keith and Samantha. Hey, we're going to need a place to stay while they rebuild our house. So.
I don't know if I'd actually drive all the way to Canonsburg while I rebuild my house. I probably could find other places, but that is an idea. So if that ever comes to fruition, then you know that I put that on the list and was like, shit, you know, since I'm getting a brand new house, where would I like to chill until then? Canonsburg, PA. That's where to be. That's where to be, folks.
That's what's
where the party
happening,
is.
man. If you want to get down on the town, you go to Canonsburg. Lily and I attended her sister's wedding on Saturday. It was a lot of fun.
It was a wonderful all-day event, but yes, it was a lot of fun. My feet are still hurting from dancing because I did that all night long.
And there's video out there of Loudini and Lily doing the chicken dance. So
it'll be out there eventually.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to get into tonight's show here in a minute. But first we're going to play LoveBone, and we're going to come back, and we're going to be talking about the top 15 most important industrial rock and metal bands of all time. This is LoveBone on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. We're going to be right back. All right, Inside Out, LoveBone on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Don't forget to go to LouLombardiRocks.com. Okay, so industrial rock and metal. And we're going to be talking about, this isn't, as usual, it's not any particular order. We just sort of want to kind of touch on the bands that really kind of like did it, made it happen, maybe pioneered some things, influenced other folks, etc. So,
etc.
etc., 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 etc. So who wants to go first? Who's going to jump in? What's going to happen? How are we going to do the thing?
I'll go.
Oh, Lily's going to go.
If you want me to go.
Lily. Killy.
Well, let's just start it off with one of the pioneers. So we're going to go Ministry. You mentioned them in the intro. From Chicago, formed in 81. Al Jorgensen. He's actually the only soul member right now. They started out as a synth pop and evolved into what we know them as today. What had huge commercial success with the three of their albums, The Land of Rape and Honey, The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and Psalm 69. First two went gold, Psalm went platinum. They are noted for their live performances despite the fact that Jorgensen does not like to tour. So they have great shows, but he doesn't like to do it. They do extended versions of their songs and have some disturbing imagery during their live shows. But my favorite songs are Jesus Built My Hot Rod, So What, Rio Grande Blood, Stigmata, and Just One Fix. So
Jesus Built My Hot Rod.
I think everybody knows that one.
Keith, are you a Ministry person?
Yeah, I have Psalm 69 somewhere in this CD collection pile. And I think it's wait, hold on one second.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh.
This is fresh.
What are you drinking?
Tonight I'm introducing to you to a new drink tonight. This is called, what is it?
A gin gimlet.
What is it?
A gin gimlet.
This is a gin gimlet.
Ooh,
Jim
fancy.
Gimlet, not a mint julep.
No, that's
a gin
next
gimlet.
week maybe. I don't know.
At the Casa de Hawk.
That's a day hawk. What's
I
in
think
that?
my new goal is going to be to introduce a new drink every week. So not only
That's a
will I
fun
be
game.
promoting rock and roll, I'll also be promoting alcoholism. So yeah, it's a double bill for you all.
It sort of goes hand in hand, though, I think.
Exactly.
So
I don't do drugs, so we're screwed there. So I still have and there'll be no sex. So I did alcohol and drugs, or rock
alcohol,
and roll. But
drugs, what's the difference?
Drug
No.
all.
I'll have to just deal with that, I guess.
So now that you've had your giblet,
Gimlet.
I always thought it was gimlet too. Gimlet sounds better to me. I don't know why.
So tell me about Ministry, particularly your ministry, Keith.
Bow your heads. I think those, but the only really, I didn't know they started that early. My God, I mean, it's like a lot of these bands seem to just be almost one or two people at times. Some of these industrial bands where it's just like it's a brainchild of one person. And then, like, the cool thing about this kind of music is, I mean, there's so many like really cool heavy guitar riffs, very like wet, saturated vocals, very affected out vocals, heavy drum loops mixed with live drums at times too, and a lot of heavy bass riffs, and even some like dance grooves going on. So this is a very interesting style of music that I think does cross-pollinate, we'll say, into the metal and industrial world, where a lot of these bands just had definitely a different sound. But the Ministry thing, I think, goes back to some of their I think I was introduced to that band during some of their like Headbangers Ball video days, of all things. They just had some really cool, like Just One Fix. I remember NWO. A lot of these just really simplistic riffs, but a lot of, they are very like repetitive, but it kind of gets you that hypnotic sort of groove going. And Ministry is definitely one of those bands that I think that has stood the test of time with this genre. And I once again, being just Al Jorgensen, and I think he'll just probably run that into the ground as much as he can. So I mean, I've never seen him live, but I mean, it's like I'm sure it's cool. I've seen a couple little videos online, but it's just one of those bands that probably got this whole ball rolling.
What do you like? What's the difference between? Okay, let me just ask you guys, in your minds, between like industrial rock / metal and like just like either regular industrial music or like techno, like, because these guys aren't Kraftwerk, but they have that hypnotic, repetitive thing going. Is it because they bring an edgier kind of attitude to it with maybe some guitar, maybe some live drums?
I think it's more fusing more than just one genre together to come with the industrial. I don't think it's like it's not just techno. Like they'll do like thrash and techno, and they'll like put a bunch of
maybe synth pop and stuff are kind of like incorporated.
Yeah.
Is that how you kind of feel it, Keith?
I think, anything that's going to be metal, if we're going to talk industrial metal, or just like, hard rock industrial fusion like that, where I think the surprising thing about this stuff is you're definitely going to have definitely heavy bass and guitar riffs, a lot of drum loops. But I think what stands out to a lot of these bands that makes them have their sound is the really heavy keyboard sound is on a lot of these bands have taken synth and keyboards and mixed it with those heavy riffs and made their own sound. And I think that's what gives this kind of genre its classification. It's like it's right there. That's what makes industrial metal stand out. It's where it's like a lot of, like I said, the metal riffs, but then you have a lot of keyboard layered underneath. So
well, I think too that they're using more like abrasive keyboard sounds as well. You know what I mean? They're not like, it's not like they're real prettied up kind of, string wash and stuff like that. And it's not the traditional type rock sounds like Rhodes piano or Hammond B3. They're really kind of digging. They're creating new, like a different texture by the way they do that. And is some of this stuff, and we're going to talk about a bunch of bands tonight. Keith, you're going to talk next on a band, but is there looping involved? So are they playing to some sequencers and stuff, or is it more organic, or does it just depend on the band?
I think it depends on the band. I mean, I've seen a lot of like stuff where there might be a loop going on with like that a keyboard player could program the loop, and then you have live drums on top of it. So you're basically playing to a sequence. Nine Inch Nails did a lot of that stuff where you hear a live drummer, but there's also a lot of sequencing going on. And I think even more modern day bands, if you want to consider I've seen Marilyn Manson on a lot of these lists, whether you agree with that or not. But I've seen Marilyn Manson on a lot of the industrial rock lists, and I think that when you go see a Marilyn Manson concert, there's a heavy distortion going on the bass guitar, but there is a live drummer playing. So you get a lot of live drummers mixed with the sequences and the loops going on. So it's almost like it's giving you that double effect where you can get some like really cool, layered drums with the live drums with the samples going on too. So
okay, so we mentioned Ministry. What do you got, Keith? Who's on your list?
I think another one of these bands that just kind of stands out is Godflesh. The one album I do have somewhere is Street Cleaner, and all the songs on there pretty much are by the book. When it comes to industrial rock, that you're going to get a lot of this the heavy guitar riffs and with very abrasive vocals and dark lyrics with this band. So you're going to get like a lot of that. I think before their time sort of bands, they were like this band was doing that kind of stuff before that. It became probably super popular. Where it's later on, a lot of bands were doing this, and it was coming more and more out of the woodwork, where bands were getting signed left and right because they had that slightly industrial sound. But I think some bands were ahead of their time, and this is one of them.
Well, I think the fact that it was different. There was a time when if you were different, people like record labels and stuff took notice. Before things became overly homogenized. Do we have any background in this band, Lily? Do you have anything?
Nothing. I didn't do Godflesh on my list.
For in the future, let's try to get some kind of like little history or something so we can entertain the audience with the stuff like that. Lily, what do you got next?
I put KMFDM on my list. German industrial band from Hamburg, 1984. I can't pronounce any of their names, so I'm not even going to try. But this actually started out as a performance art project. It wasn't actually a band.
Kill Mother Effing Depeche Mode. Isn't that what it stands for?
I actually don't know.
But the guitar player said there was a video with the guitar player whose name I probably can't pronounce either. It's just he named 4 things before he actually said what the name of what it stands for. He never really committed to nothing of them. But the last one is Kill MF and Depeche Mode. He did kind of laugh at that, and that was the last one he mentioned. But he also had 3 other ones, which I can't even name either. So
I think there's a really good example, and I want you to talk about KM in 1 second. Yes. But speaking of Depeche Mode, there's a band that really relied heavily on synth, but isn't really industrial.
No, I would never
rock.
Call them.
You know what I mean? So
no, it's that they were ahead of their time when it comes to the alternative rock movement. I don't think that I would consider them a industrial band by
industrial metal. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah. What else what do you got on these guys?
They were one of the first bands to bring industrial to the mainstream audiences. In their music, they have the heavy metal guitar riffs, electronic music samples, and both male and female vocals, so they can have a wider range of different types of songs. The thing that people don't really like about them is that they're super political. Many of the lyrics take stands against violence, war, and oppression. They do release like an album every like year and a half, and they do a major tour after each release. At most concert venues, though,
are they still an active band?
Yep, for
oh
sure.
wow,
I've seen them recently.
That.
At most concert venues, they will mingle with fans before and after the show, and they are known for their accessibility to fans. They will talk to you on their Facebook page. They will email you. They will sign anything you want, take all the photographs.
Will they send me money?
They will probably not send you money.
Okay.
The songs I like are The Problem, Down and Out. Juke Joint Jezebel is probably one of my most favorite songs by them. Don't Blow Your Top and Son of a Gun. So, yeah. I saw them at Smalls.
You're a fan of this band. You like this band, Keith? No. They suck.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't really... I mean, I had them on my list, but I don't have, like, a lot of, like, their tunes. I mean, I know that you joined Jezebel and a couple other tunes that are, like, I don't even know the titles of, but it's like, yeah, some of them stand out more than others. I think that they have a extensive member list. I mean, if you Wikipedia their band, I mean, there's, like, a ton of people that's been in that band. I mean, it's...
I literally can't pronounce any of the names.
No, not at all. That's one thing about these bands too. But a lot of these bands are German, and they definitely. I mean, if you could do a whole podcast on German industrial bands, because that seems to be their thing. You know?
Well, I mean, there's no secret. We are going to be talking about Rammstein. So,
yeah. I mean, as long as we don't talk about, we can always do the best, German bands, but Rammstein would definitely be on the industrial list next to the Scorpions, of course. But I mean, that's a whole other thing.
So who do you have next, Keith?
I'm going to go with not to take a 2-for-1 deal, but if you're going to do one, you got to do the other. I'm going to go with Rob Zombie and White Zombie. I mean, these two go hand in hand. I've seen White Zombie live, and it was interesting. I mean, there's a lot of just that 4-piece band. And, actually a trio. Rob Zombie just runs around the stage the whole time and does his thing. But it's like they have a lot of sequences going on, too, when I seen them play. I think they were on an Ozfest when I seen them, and it was definitely loud. Rob Zombie definitely has a lot of energy on stage, and I think that he took what White Zombie was doing and definitely made his solo stuff pretty much, even in my opinion, a little bit more industrial than what White Zombie
Absolutely. I agree.
Although I do think the one with Thunder Kiss 65, what is it, Le Sexorcisto, Devil Music Volume 1, I do think that's a killer album. I think that's a great riffy record that I think probably doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's definitely a cool record that has a lot of, and he's definitely one of them guys that obviously a horror fan, being a cool horror movie director, but he has a lot of like that kind of dark imagery. They had really interesting outfits, and I think that if I had to choose between the two, I like the more White Zombie vibe. But when he did his solo stuff, it was definitely more industrial. But I mean, yeah, you're going to get a kind of a 2-for-1 deal there because same guy, and he has that industrial vibe down to a T. So that's his thing, man.
I remember here, like when I first heard them, and it was very obviously they were doing something different, and that was the same thing when I first heard Ministry too. I was like, this is really like these guys are like bringing in something different, and up to that point. My sort of take on the industrial metal thing is that, like, an industrial rock metal, whatever you want to call it, was that they were able to bring keyboards in and still sound really, really heavy. Whereas a lot of bands, as soon as the keyboard starts, okay, like, it really kind of smooths out the sound, where it starts to sound really pretty and nice, That is not the case with any of these bands. And I love it. So it shows that keyboards can rock your face off.
Which is surprising.
Which I like. As long as you're rocking my face off, you can play the kazoo. I don't care. Okay, let's do one more, then we'll play the next band.
Well, since we talked about Rob Zombie, I guess we're gonna go with his baby brother, Powerman 5000, Spider One. It all started out when Spider One dropped out of art school, bought a cheap 4-track home studio and drum machine, and recorded Much Evil. They gained notoriety with the remake of Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Spider One's known for using a lot of spoken word in his and chanting in his vocalization. Lyrics are usually campy and make references to pulp science fiction, including gods, monsters, global annihilation, robots, that whole
This
thing.
is what it's like when
Yes.
worlds collide.
And it's a lot of electronic in his. So the songs I like are When Worlds Collide, Bombshell, Supernova Goes Pop, Danger Is Go, and How to Be a Human.
Isn't there some relative of Gene Simmons in this band? Isn't it his son or something in this band?
That I don't know. I was just focusing on
No,
Sugar
but
One.
you guys are missing but this is what I had. I had this in quotations. I had this band on my list too. The drummer in Power Man 5000 is no other than Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania's own Alan Pahanis, the brother of Dave Pahanis.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's right. I knew this. Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
I think in that band he's called Al 3 or some shit like that. He's called Al something, but anyway, just don't call me anything, but call me Al, just like Paul Simons. But Cannonsburg definitely is represented on the map with Power Man 5000.
So
there it is.
Cannonsburg made it onto the list tonight, guys. Woo!
Yeah, see that?
That's awesome.
So whenever there's a hurricane, I'm coming to Cannonsburg. Me and Alan Pahanis.
We'll rock out to some Power Man 5000. So, any other thoughts? You said you had this on your band English. What do you want to talk about them for a minute before we go to the next song?
I only know that When Worlds Collide stuff too. I had them on my list because it was a band I've heard of before, and it's easier for me to like kind of fake what I can say about it than 20 German bands that I have no friggin' clue what they're saying anyway. So
Legit.
These guys, these young whippersnappers and their lyrics we can't understand. This is Madzilla LV on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. We're going to come back and talk about some more industrial rock and metal bands. Stick around, guys. Madzilla on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus with probably the hottest guitar solo that you're going to hear on the whole show. That was really hot guitar playing. That was damn.
Was that two-handed? Was that two-handed tapping? I
There's
heard
some
going
two-handed tape. He was doing everything, man. He had good tone too. Yeah. Whoever that, I gotta look that guy up, man. He can play his ass off.
He was just shredding that shit
Yeah,
like crazy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear, man. It's good to hear. So we're talking about these industrial rock metal bands: Ministry, Godflesh, KMFDM, Rob Zombie / White Zombie, Power Man, 5000. And who's going to do number 6?
That's
You're
Keith.
listening to Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. LoudiniBoyRocks.com is where you want to go and check it all out. Eric Waggett just went to LoudiniBoyRocks.com. I saw him messaging. I'm like, oh, God, Eric. So go ahead, buddy. What you got
Me?
there, the Hawk? Yes, Mr. Hawk.
This one here, I'm confused about a little bit. So maybe you guys can help me out when you're genius level there. This is a band I've seen on pretty much every industrial rock list, and I still don't really know if I agree with 100%, but obviously a lot of commercial success. It's Marilyn Manson. I mean, is it really that much industrial rock, or is it just, I would think of it just as metal, but that's one that's a little bit, I mean, I'm not going to argue with all the listers, but I mean, they're on every list that you would think of. I guess there is an industrial flavor to it, but I mean,
I think that not everything he does is industrial, but he went in that realm for a couple of albums.
I think that it definitely has that flavor to it. I think that, like, yeah, definitely. It's really all the guitars and everything's real processed, and filtered, and it's got that kind of. I would definitely put it there. They don't sound like Rob Zombie.
If you're gonna dabble with industrial, then there's several bands that are probably missing from all of our lists that I'll bring up later that I think are just BS that they weren't on any of the lists I've been seeing. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, that's okay. We'll do some honorable mentions, but I would definitely put them on because so many people say that they should be there. So people are definitely hearing that way. But there's a lot of what he does have sequences and stuff like that to it. So there is that element to it. Yeah, I would definitely say that. I think one of my.
I mean, I was kind of up in the air. I didn't really disagree with it. I was kind of like in between. I mean, I can definitely hear flavors of it, but I also hear just a straight up rock and metal band. So I mean, it's interesting.
Lily, what's your favorite Marilyn Manson song?
Oh, The Dope Show.
What's your favorite Marilyn Manson song, Keith? You don't like Marilyn Manson?
I don't know. The Beautiful People is kind of a cool riff on. I mean,
my favorite. My favorite one is I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me. That's my
Right.
absolute. I think it's a great. That's a great riff. I think it's just a dynamite tune. That song should have been a lot bigger than it was. But yeah, I freaking love Marilyn Manson. So
And
I
got
didn't
no
really dig
argument.
their. I mean, their cover of "Sweet Dreams" was kind of a yawner for me. So I mean, I don't know.
Some people like it. Like Howard Stern went, like he had an orgasm over that. You know what I mean? And I thought it was like, I like the Eurythmics version better. Not for any nostalgic reason or anything. I just think it sounds better like that. But what's the other one that he has another cover?
He does several covers, but
What's this? Does he do this? Does he do Tainted Love?
Yeah, he did "Tainted Love" too, which he can just do whatever he wants
don't
with
like
too.
it?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I'm not a big Marilyn Manson fan. I mean, I'll respect it for what it is, and I wanted to put it on the list because people have actually heard of it before. Like I said before, I ramble off 9 German bands, the only German people give a shit about. Then I'll tell you about Marilyn Manson. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't have to be a big fan to understand that he's done something for the rock and metal. He's made it. Even when times where he wasn't getting, which is hardly ever, is you getting any kind of positive press, he was at least, and when you're getting negative press, you're at least somebody's talking about you and keeping rock and metal in the forefront a little bit. So even when he's screwing up, he's still getting pubs.
Yeah, he was a total sensation. And like in terms of like Scott Paulson ran a post the other day on Facebook about Todd Rundgren, and he was talking about one of the things that makes rock so special is the stories. And it doesn't matter if they're true or not. Like, and Marilyn Manson was one of those guys. He was a total freaking character, and like he got, the idea is that these guys lived lives we can only dream of, and maybe they were only dreaming of them too. They may not have really done a lot of stuff that is attributed to them, but it's just like myth, And I think he was on that tail end of that era of those like mythic rock guys that did crazy stuff and overdosed, and I don't know if he actually overdosed, but you know what I mean, did the crazy.
Well, I mean, if you look at his beginnings, he was just some dorky kid from Ohio named Brian Warner. I mean, that's just, it just took on a persona known as Marilyn Manson, where they take all the names of, ex-beauty queens and serial killers and make a band out of it.
Yeah,
So
and he removed one of his ribs so that he could fellatiate himself,
Well, if you believe that, I got some beachfront property in Arizona too. You want to buy it? I got it. I got the title in my pocket.
What do you got, Lily?
Well,
V6?
before we move on, Marilyn Manson, I wanted to just say he was the first act signed to Trent Reznor's label, and he did a cover of "This Is Halloween" from the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack that I think's killer.
Oh,
so.
I got to hear that. I've never heard that.
It's amazing.
And maybe, Keith, because he was signed by Trent Reznor, maybe that's where the industrial connection kind of is. We could say that, maybe. So what do you got?
That'll bring me right to my point later.
Okay, brother.
Anyway, have you guys heard of the Genitortures at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I love them.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on their shows.
I finally saw them for the first time last year, but they're formed in Orlando in 1986. They actually have worked with Marilyn Manson at the time that they were in Florida. They proclaim themselves to be the world's sexiest rock band. Jen, the lead singer, while she was in college, founded the band. They were originally called the Festering Genitortures. They've got fused elements of hardcore punk metal and industrial electronics. Her husband is David Vincent from Morbid Angel, who is also the bassist in the band now. So she's got that going for her as well. And they do the BDSM theme.
Okay. Do they actually... I heard this. I heard Fee Waybill say this, and I don't know if this is true. He said that they actually pierced their genitals on stage.
I didn't see that when I was at the show. So maybe not.
Maybe in their younger days.
Maybe.
Now it's full of holes.
Oh, that's what I've always
they do have a lot of...
That's what they were about, man.
I think everybody thinks that because Fee Waybill said that on, like, Behind the Music or something on VH1. So, like, that was the only thing I know about that band is that they...
Fee Waybill from the friggin' Tubes?
Yeah.
What the hell does he know about Genitorture?
What he said was that they felt that, like, when that band came out, they felt they couldn't compete because the Tubes were a very visual band. They had naked dancers on stage, and they had literally people naked dancing on stage, like men and women.
Yeah,
it was they did like a very wild show, and he was contrasting that with the Genitorturers. He says, these people actually pierce their own genitalia on stage. We can't compete with that.
Well, they were very tame the night I saw them. I was told by a lot of people that they were very tame. The craziest thing that I saw was they just had, like, guys on leashes, half naked, running around the stage. But they've also been in Hustler on a 12-page spread, which is kind of cool. But Sin City, Touch Myself, Asphyxiate, Four Walls Black, and One Who Feeds are the best songs by them, in my opinion.
Okay.
Dirtiness.
And I think we're going to just kind of move on. What do you got next, Keith? Unless you want to talk about the Genitorturers, unless you're like, that's a favorite band of yours.
No, I mean, if Fee Wade Bill says, I mean, yeah, he's a beauty, man. Let's move on. I think that I'm going to go with, this is actually a band that I don't know a ton of history on, but I do have one of their CDs. Believe it or not, I have a CD. And it's an interesting, just crazy vocal style. And they also, I think, are one of the bands that were sort of in the beginning to the middle of this sound. It's a band called Pitch Shifter. They actually put out an interesting album called Genius, which is, if you listen to the song Genius, you would find out that's definitely textbook industrial sound, man.
I do not know this band at all. Never heard of
Yeah,
them.
so just
Everybody on the
check
list
out-
I'm familiar with something about them. Janet, I know the music from every one of these bands. I do not know any music by Genitorturers. I know the name Pitch Shifter. You totally got me. I have no clue.
They're definitely, they were one of those like just straight up industrial sounding bands, and that's one of those bands you can't really. That's their sound. I mean, it's not going to be confused with anything else.
Well,
It's definitely industrial.
maybe what we can do next year is get an ASCAP or BMI license, and maybe we can actually play some samples of some of these bands. I think it'll make the podcast better, but it's wildly expensive, and you guys got to support me. I don't mean you guys. You guys support me all the time, but I mean the list
What do we do?
audience. You guys have to. You're gonna have to kick in a little something because that's gonna be very expensive.
How much talking?
So what's number 9, Lily?
I'm going to put 9 Inch Nails.
You know I'm a working musician, right? You know I ain't got no scratch, man. All right, go
I
ahead.
wasn't asking you.
He means the audience, the fans. They're 9 Inch Nails from Cleveland, formed in '88 by Trent Reznor. Only permanent member of the band until the official edition of Atticus in 2016. Recorded Pretty Hate Machine in '89 while he was working as a janitor in a recording studio. The Downward Spiral, and I knew I was going to say that wrong, and The Fragile were released to critical acclaim and commercial success. Their live shows have the thematic visual elements, extensive special effects, and elaborate light shows. You guys, I'm sure, know all of that stuff. They've sold over 20 million records worldwide, nominated for 13 Grammys, and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2020, the year of crap.
I would say that out of all the bands on the list so far, these
This
guys
is the heavyweight champion
Yeah.
of industrial rock.
right, but I would also say they're also the most pop, and they're also the most synthy. Sometimes
They're
it's hard
they're also the most like that. They're hooks, man. They're like I said.
pop. Yeah,
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I mean, they have that heaviness with the synth pop. That they have that total perfect fusion of Trent Reznor's basic genius of hearing melody, and he's like, it's almost like industrial rock, and sometimes it meets, pop to a point where it's radio friendly, but it's heavy. It still has like dance hook grooves to it, and he just hears and sees things that maybe other industrial artists don't.
It sort of works all around.
Yeah, I mean, it's the heavyweight. He's the Mike Tyson in his prime of industrial rock.
a couple things I find really fascinating about them. The songs absolutely are absolute standout. I think out of anybody on this list, maybe Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie, in terms of just great hook songs. 9 Inch Nails, just like Keith said, is head and shoulders above everybody. But what I find really interesting about them is this is a band that I shouldn't like. It's not like when I never was, but because they are pretty synthy, and I found out later on after I got to read about and learn who Trent Reznor was and stuff, that one of Trent's producing techniques is to try to make guitars sound like keyboards and make keyboards sound like guitars. Mm-hmm. That's like the kind of secret sauce to what they do in terms of the tone, the sounds. And I think that's probably what hooked me, is because I could sense that or feel that. I think that comes across as the heaviness and the sound. But yeah, I was hooked instantly. I mean, Head Like a Hole.
Closer.
I'd rather die than give you control. I mean, that sounded like nothing. In fact, it was so funny. I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was in a band with this guy, and we had started out as a kind of we were doing late 80s pop rock. This guy could sing anything Bon Jovi ever did, and all of a sudden he wanted to switch the band to country. And I was like, Brian, why do you want to switch the band to country? He says, the way rock is going, he says, there's no way. He says, there's no way I'm going to get him to sing something like Head Like a Hole. What the hell is that? And I was like, thinking like, I kind of like that song.
A lot of people like that song.
And this guy he was just that previous generation. Like it was a cutoff.
They didn't want to accept it.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm done. Like I can't, and so I think sometimes we get to that point with music where it's just like, I can't go no further. Like this is the line. I'm going back here. Everything else I can't do. And that's
staying here. I'm not.
And
moving.
It was 9 Inch Nails with really was like cinched it for him. Like he could not sing rock anymore.
Was it Brian Cole?
No, it wasn't Brian Cole. No. You don't know this guy. This guy's from Indiana County. In fact, I'm not sure if I remember his last name quite off the top of my head. But
I played with a country singer from Indiana County. His name was Brian Miller for years.
Wasn't Miller?
No.
We'll talk about it on the after show. Maybe we can work it out. But yeah, it was like, yeah, he was just like, no, just not having it after he heard Head Like a Hole. He's like, my daughter likes that song.
Oh my goodness gracious.
He got the get off my lawn, grumpy old man attitude going
That's
on.
how he is. That's it.
What's going on, man? At the time I was I was in my early 20s and Brian was like pushing 40. And it was just
Holy hell, really?
Yeah,
Damn.
he was just like, he'd been around a long time. And I'm not talking smack on the guy. That was just his values, his musical sort of taste. You know
That's
what I
all. Everybody got their thing. I mean, if you were 20 and he was 40 at the time, I mean, shit, he probably signed a Declaration of Independence. He don't know what music is.
Dude, I was drinking bourbon when he said I'm going to spit it everywhere. He was signing the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
Hawks one-liners. So who's number 10, Lily and Keith, or whoever wants to get Keith? You next.
His turn.
I have no idea where I am.
Another band that I think that, just goes back in the day. Like I said, I wish I sometimes have more notes on this stuff, but even Metallica covered this band, Killing Joke. Now I've listened to some Killing Joke stuff, and does it sound industrial to me? Maybe it was before industrial or anybody knew what industrial was. So I mean, I know Metallica's covered a couple of their songs. And I think some of it's on that Garage Inc. albums they put out. But Killing Joke's known for a very high energy live show, and I've never seen them, but I'll take their word for it. And they were at the forefront, if not before, industrial rock. So I like to go back and forth with this and see where it came from.
They are a kind of like precursor. They are. I did go and look up because I had forgotten. Them. They were. I remember them being really big and listening to them in the very early 90s. But can I say, unless you guys want to say, can I say where the name comes from?
Sure.
It's from Monty Python.
Killing Joke?
Yeah, it's a
There you
reference
go, man.
to
I mean,
Monty
I
Python sketch.
probably didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a reference to. There's a sketch where the military has come up with this joke, and it's a killing joke. And it's so funny that it kills people.
I don't think I've watched enough of the sketches to know that.
Of course, it's a typical Monty, but that is where that's where they got the name from. That's, but yeah, and it's hard to hear. I know that they are considered industrial. Everything I listen to just sounded kind of like punk rock or like heavy, that kind of alternative rock to me.
That's the thing too. And there's another band like that I don't think any of you would name anyway, and I do if I apologize. Skinny Puppies, another one that it was like on a lot of people's
They're on the list, yeah.
It sounds like punk to me. I mean, it sounds like punk, and maybe I don't know. Like I said, I don't know sometimes what industrial rock is categorized as. Some of these bands I scratch my head at because I used to think I was pretty good at like categorizing, getting these bands like that's what this is. There's so many freaking genres now I can't even no more. There's some other bands I had on my list that I wouldn't even think that would be industrial rock, and they were on this list, on a lot of people's list, and it's a little confusing at times.
Yeah. So those of you listening, what is your sort of thoughts on industrial rock? Lily, before you read your next pick, can you maybe kind of throw out some comments that we're having from
Sure.
the audience?
We have some viewers, Roscoe Jack, Earl McBride, Tracy Sampson, not my mom, Tracy Sampson, a different Tracy Sampson.
I always think that's your mom. That's not your mom?
Nope.
I did not know that.
Brianna Salza. Snowdy Heemskirk commented a couple times. Let me see where he is. He said, Rob Zombie is awesome. He said he likes Personal Jesus by Marilyn Manson. That's one we forgot to mention.
There you go.
Happy birthday to Rob Halford.
Happy birthday to Sean Connery. He's 90 years old today.
Rick Ragow.
Is it really? Holy hell.
Rick Ragow. I'm sorry if I pronounce anyone's names wrong. Melissa Trumbley's watching. Mark Bradley Davis and Perry Bancroft and Tiffany Sullivan. Those are our watchers.
Shout out to Bill Damiano, Eric Anthony, and Chris Thunderwolf Dodson over on the Inner Circle page as well. We love yous guys.
They love me too.
So what do you got? Just got a few more here. We got to wrap up. We're running
short on time.
Yeah, we're running short on time.
Next on my list, Static X. Since 1994, the lineup has fluctuated over the years, but constant member was Wayne Static until he died in 2014.
Well, don't you think they kind of need to end the band if the guy
No,
was named?
they did not end the band. I will explain. They rose to fame in 99 with the album Wisconsin Death Trip, as everyone knows, where their industrial metal sound attracted attention within the new metal movement of the 90s. So they were able to rise up above that.
What's the song again? What's the song that they did? Was the big song?
I don't know the big song.
Push it, yeah.
Thank you. The album went platinum, combined electronic elements influenced by Ministry, Skinny Puppy, and the harshness of bands like Pantera. Also had techno, speed metal, and thrash metal included. So the original members decided to bring back Static X with someone who sings, who wears a Wayne Static mask. It's very freaky. I saw it live. I'm not okay with it. It makes me scared. I don't like it at all. They sound great. Don't get me wrong, they sound great. I don't know who the guy is. Apparently some people do.
It's probably Corey Taylor.
I have no idea.
Have you heard that song? Corey Taylor has a new song out called Kill Mother Effing Corey Taylor. That's the name of his new song.
Really?
It's freaking
No,
great. He is so
really
awesome. That man is like, there are very few real rock stars these days, and he is a total, he's got the goods. He's a great songwriter. He's amazing. Dude, he can sing Prince.
I just
everything,
don't.
Man.
I like
it's
him as a
Corey
musician.
Taylor.
Probably, but it's disturbing to watch it. Don't ever go see it. I'm telling you, they sound great, but to watch it.
If I could say there's one guy, man, right now who can like just, and he's got musical chops, is Corey Taylor. Anyways, I'm sorry.
I don't like Corey Taylor as a person. I like him as a musician. Anyway, yes, Static X.
What, do you like know him personally? Do you have like a bad experience?
No, but I
like
when I watch him talk on interviews and stuff, he just pisses me off.
What can you say?
What you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do?
I can't do anything. He makes the money, and I don't.
I can't argue with that rack.
But it looked great on Saturday, didn't it? That
It
rose
looked pretty
gold
good
dress.
today. What's the shirt you're wearing?
Horror Babe.
Horror Babe and the rack. Guys, those of you that do not tune in live, this is what you're missing. See, you're missing the rack.
What about my hair?
Oh, and Keith's beard. Sorry, Keith, forgive me. I'm not worthy.
Next week, this shit could be like Abe Lincoln, man.
We can start beating it.
I'm gonna have the stovetop hat on next week.
That'd be awesome.
Abe Lincoln's been canceled. So who do you got, Keith? We had Static.
Why don't we just do the big one?
I'm just gonna go real quick on it. Like I said, I actually do own an album. I never would have thought of this band as Industrial Wither, Fear Factory. Fear Factory was on every freaking list I've seen, and I thought they were just a metal band, but obviously some people think they're industrial rock. So I could see that maybe in some of the really crazy, like overly saturated vocal style. But I mean, to me, it sounds like a metal band. But I mean, hey, what the hell do I know?
Again, some of these guys are using electronic sounds and distorting them and stuff, so it's like kind of
The
hard
elements.
to distinguish it from guitar.
I think this band like started out more as just straight up like heavy band,
Death metal.
But they went to like they did a little bit more industrial stuff later on. Millennium is the album that I own, and it has a little mixture of both. So I mean, it's.
Do either one of you guys have Stabbing Westward on your list?
I didn't put it. I refused.
You don't like
I
that?
don't. I have Orgy on there, but it's only because they're known for a cover.
It's Orgy, not Orgy.
Stop yourself.
Sorry.
It is Orgy, though. It is. They'll correct you.
I would have thought it was Orgy.
It's Orgy.
I call it orgy.
So I'm putting them on the list. And who's going to talk about Rammstein?
I have it if you want me to talk about it.
I waited this whole podcast.
We thought you
just
wanted to
talk
do
about
it.
Rammstein.
We thought you wanted the
No,
crown
you
and
guys
glory.
are so better than me. I'm just a kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm refereeing tonight.
All right.
So Keith, what you going to talk about Rammstein too? Or what were you going to talk about?
I know one song by Rammstein. I know they're German, and I know Du Hast, and I don't even know what the hell that means.
Du Hast means
I hate.
I'll kick your ass.
No, you hate
You
me.
hate, yeah.
You duhashed me. Duhashed means you hate me.
To me, I have 3 bands that made none of the list I've looked up, and hopefully, if you guys see them, I have 3 bands I'm pissed they're not on no one's list that are all that are industrial.
Okay, hold on.
hell.
Let's get a little bit on
But
Rammstein.
we'll get this out of the way first.
And then we'll do our
All
thing.
right. Berlin, 1984. 6 members of the band have remained unchanged throughout the history of the band, as has their approach to songwriting. Lindemann writing and singing the lyrics over industrial pieces that the rest of the band have completed beforehand is how they do their writing process. They literally started a band after they won a contest, and they were able to record demos and send them to different record labels. I cannot pronounce most of this stuff with the names, but the second album was released in 97, resulted in a worldwide tour that lasted 4 years. Commercially, the band has been very successful, earning several #1 albums as well as gold and platinum certs in countries around the world. Live shows are amazing. Obviously, we're missing it this year, but they're going to be touring again next year, so everybody can be patient.
That was on my list of shows I had to see if they were, because they didn't come to the United States very often. I really wanted to see them.
Right. That's one of the ones that if you have a chance to see it in America, please go see it. But Du Hast, Meinherst Brent, America Modern, and Mein Tail is there.
Benzene.
Or that one, too.
Benzene's been, Liquid Metal on Sirius has been playing Benzene a lot.
But yeah, amazing. Probably top 3.
I bought that record that came out in 97, and I played the living crap out of it. I played it over and over. That was like a record we would listen to. Me and my bass were listening on our way to rehearsal. We drove from Greensburg to Indiana for rehearsal, and we would listen to that record, and he would drink an entire 6-pack on the way to rehearsal.
That's great.
While
listening to Rammstein.
JT, and we would laugh. They would sing in German, and we would giggle. Because it all sounded like
yeah, that's the thing about Rammstein is the fact that their songs are in German. They had success in the United States where most people can't speak English as it is, even ones that do speak English, and they're basically speaking in German, and they're still getting airplay on Headbangers Ball or whatever the hell show they were on, and they still were doing well by singing in freaking German. That's amazing to me.
That tells you something.
The grooves are really killer, and they have such a great feel and such a great sound. Like, it really makes you want to move, man. It's good stuff. And Hawk, you have I love your perspective, dude. Like, no matter what happens, Hawk has this great perspective, and you make it all make sense, brother. Quit playing with your chin.
Let
me bitch now about good, Lily. Good.
I'm just going like this. I had nothing important to say.
Hawk is stroking his chin the whole. He's got beach fuzz now, so he's like stroking it like he's got a long beard. You got a little ways to go, buddy.
These 3, I know. That'll take me to 157. Can I name 3 bands that I couldn't find on anybody's list?
You go for it, brother.
Bullshit. The first one is Voivod. What kind of music out of? If it's not industrial, what the hell is Voivod? And they had some success. Nothing Face was industrial as shit. They did a cool version of a Pink Floyd song that's probably better than the Pink Floyd version. So, what is Voivod? If I'm wrong, what the hell is Voivod then? Another one is where the theme songs for Headbangers Ball for years was a band from New York called Prong. If you listen to Beg to Differ, what's that? It's industrial rock. Nobody had that on their list. And Headbangers Ball was playing that shit 24/7. It was their theme song for years. And the final one, which this guy was the freaking touring guitar player in 9 Inch Nails. Trent Reznor told him to hit the road and write his own stuff. Where's Filter on any of these lists? This is bullshit.
I saw Filter on one list.
Hey Man, Nice Shot is a freaking industrial song. Short Bus, all that stuff is like industrial as hell. And they're not on anybody's list. And I've looked at 5 lists. Filter was not on any of them.
I agree with you about Voivod and Prong. I didn't see them on anything, but I did see Filter.
Filter was on one list that I found.
I did see Filter on a list. I did
just
see
one.
Okay, and I was like, that's right. They are industrial. Yeah, they do got that industrial thing going on. Good call.
I know they got a little bit lighter later on with the take a picture and all that shit, but you don't sit there and tell me that songs like Dose, Hey Man, Nice Shot, Welcome to the Fold. I mean, these songs are heavy in there, but they got that growling, nasty sound of industrial metal. And basically, that's another band too. It's probably one guy, Richard Patrick, the Terminator's little brother, and he just still, I don't know what they do nowadays, but that's an industrial band, and they had a huge radio hit, man. Several of them.
Wait a minute. Can we stop? Pause. Time out. Is literally Robert Patrick's little brother? Are you being serious?
Richard Patrick is Robert Patrick, the guy that played Terminator.
Right. I knew Robert
That's
Patrick. I don't know if I had heard that before or not, but okay. Cool. See, guys, you tune in and you learn. I learned something. Lily, did you learn anything tonight?
I learn everything every week.
There you are. Leave it to the Hawk. I'm getting a T-shirt.
Yeah,
Leave it to the Hawk.
The Terminator's little brother can sing, and he has his own little band called Filter,
And
which, like I said, pissed me off. There was none of them on the list. And I listened to Welcome to the Fold today, and what was it? Hey Man, Nice Shot. I've heard a million times, and they do 5,000 remixes. Those two are cool songs. Short Bus is a really good album, and I think that Title of Record is another record they put out, another album they put out, which was heavy industrial influence, and that was like I thought they would be up in the top 10 of a lot of these bands, and they never got any love, man.
I just wonder if because they had the take a picture song, and maybe people kind of just kind of forgot or whatever. You know what I mean? They don't have the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus with a hawk to remind them that Filter was industrial.
Yeah, I don't think it's right to put like a lot of these bands, like said, the bands even had super success, like a Rob Zombie, like a White Zombie, like Marilyn Manson. Filter was just as industrial as they were and more.
Great point. Excellent. Lily, got something to share or something? I see you.
No,
Lily is playing around on her phone.
I'm multitasking. Sorry.
We're at work, and she's playing around on her phone.
I'm multitasking.
That's $5 off your pay. That's 5 sips of White Claw you can't have.
I'm going to chug it all. Don't even tell me what's what.
All right, man. Hawk, you got anything coming up?
I think the black cherry is the best one.
I like the grapefruit. I'm surprised I like it, but
that's not bad either.
Hawk, you got anything coming up you want to plug or announce before we boogie on out of here?
If you're in the Mississippi area on Saturday, I'll be playing a gig at Buoys, which would be in where the hell is that at? Long Beach or somewhere in Mississippi. It's right across the Louisiana-Mississippi border, and I'll be there. So it's Buoys Saturday. Be there.
Timmez.
I'll be there on Labor Day too, but just for now, we'll take it one step at a time. As long as I don't get rained out, we'll be there.
Sounds good. Lily, anything you want to announce? Your show?
My show's on Thursdays. Hot Licks with Lily 6, Rock Rage Radio. Go to the app or download the free app or go to rockrageradio.com. Diamond Rex will be on Thursday for an interview. So yay.
Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, guys. You can go to LouLombardiRocks.com. I will be playing this Saturday from 1 to 4 at the Green Dance Winery with Mark Shuttleworth. So if you're out in the Mount Pleasant area, it's very cool, very nice. It's so spread out that they were social distancing before it was a thing, so you don't got to worry. Tons of great baked goods and wine, and it's a very, very, very nice atmosphere, very relaxing. All outdoors, a cool stage, so you can come check out the Green Dance Winery with Mark Shuttleworth and myself. Check us out, guys. Shout out to Rock Rage Radio as always for taking care of us and having us as a part of their team. Thank you, Wolf's Customs. Wolf's Customs.online, Chris Thunderwolf Dodson. By the way, Chris Thunderwolf Dodson and Raven are watching, and I owe you guys t-shirts. I haven't forgotten. So you guys, everybody have a great week, and check us out if you are, you'd like a little bit more, you'd like to hang out with some cool folks, you're tired of kind of all the noise, all the, politics constantly on social media, go to LouLombardiRocks.com. One of the things you get is access to our private Facebook group, and it's just music. We're chilling, right? Talking about music, relaxing, having a good time, so you can get away from all that crap. All right, guys, we got one more band. We're going to play Neverwake, and we're going to get the hell out of here. You guys have a great week. We'll catch you on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.